The war in Sudan is actually triggering the world's largest hunger crisis, with more than 25 million people trapped in a spiral of food insecurity. UN has warned people do not have access to food anymore. 18 million people face acute hunger in Sudan right now. This is the highest number ever recorded. Let's listen to this.
2024 is bleak as critical agricultural inputs are difficult to access in Sudan. Rain Paulson, the FAO Director of Emergencies and Resilience, is calling for humanitarian access to be urgently restored so farmers can be able to produce food. He adds that 18 million people are expected to face food crisis levels or worse in terms of acute food insecurity. Now, that is the worst level of hunger ever recorded during the harvest season in Sudan.
During the recent harvest season, which is typically, obviously, a time then when food is most plentiful, 18 million people were expected to face food crisis levels or worse in terms of acute food insecurity. That is the worst level of hunger ever recorded by the IPC during the harvest season in the Sudan. Food reserves are running low. Steep prices make it difficult to buy food. And both access and funding constraints mean humanitarian assistance cannot reach all those in need. The outlook for food production in 2024 is bleak. Critical agricultural inputs are difficult to access as we near the 2024 main planting season, which will begin in June, with land preparation activities needing to start already in April. Simultaneously, conflict is devastating livestock production, a critical source of both nutrition and income.
Well, let's now hear from the Director of the UN Humanitarian Operations and also the Deputy Director General at the FAO, speaking on how Sudan may become the world's worst hunger crisis.
A humanitarian travesty is playing out in Sudan under a veil of international inaction and inattention. Simply put, we are failing the people of Sudan. By all measures, the sheer scale of humanitarian needs, the numbers of people displaced and facing hunger, Sudan is one of the worst humanitarian disasters in recent memory. More than 1/3 of the country's estimated population are facing food insecurity. By the time the lean season arrives in May, people in some parts of Darfur could face what we term IPC Phase 5 level acute food insecurity. We call this stage a catastrophe.
A peaceful and political solution and immediate cessation of hostility to facilitate the delivery of urgent humanitarian assistance is an essential step in eliminating the risk of famine. I join my colleagues in calling all the parties to respect their obligation under international humanitarian and human rights law. Safe and sustained humanitarian access must urgently to be restored to all in need of life-saving assistance.
There is a real and growing risk that the violence in Sudan will soon create the world's largest hunger crisis. But our emergency relief operation is being severely hampered by a lack of access and a lack of resources. Currently, 90% of the people in IPC Phase 4 who urgently need life-saving food assistance are trapped in areas that are largely inaccessible to humanitarian agencies. These include conflict hotspots such as Khartoum, Gezira State, the Kordofans, and the Darfur states. Our efforts to reach these civilians are challenged by the relentless violence and by interference from the warring parties. And bureaucratic obstacles are further shrinking the space for humanitarians to operate.
People are actually going through a lot there. They are restricted, they are hungry because of the crisis going on there. We hope things get better soon so that they can walk freely and get access to food. Thank you very much for your time again with me. I don't take it for granted. Hope to see you in my next as I bring your way more trending news. Bye.